Hi, I wanted to show you our project that we are starting this week, and I wanted to make sure that you saw every way how to do it. Our project is printmaking flowers, and I know that the topic is flowers, but it doesn't mean that's what you have to make. So I wanted to share some information with you so you knew what we were looking at. Um, Number two. Now, we have some of these materials, but we don't have them all. Our step number one is to measure and cut your foam for size. Now, for what we're doing is I have paper plates or styrofoam plates. And I wanted to show you that we're going to be making some imprints that are about this size on some paper. I also want you to know step two, we're going to sketch some ideas for those designs. I need you to keep them simple. Little designs sometimes won't show up, but simpler designs are often more successful. So draw big. Now, what if you don't want to do a flower? That's okay. Just be sure to make it simple. Prints show up on the paper that we're using in a backwards mirror way. And that's why I wanted to use my example to give you an idea of what's going to happen. Any words that you put on there will need to be drawn in reverse. So I wanted to show you what I did. This is a Foo Fighters album. It's a rock band that I'm a big fan of. And I took this album cover and I, of course, took my half plate that I'm going to use for my design and I found a logo. I took that logo, I set it on here, and just with a marker, it doesn't have to be a Sharpie, it can be any color marker. We want to set it on there, and you want to get it lined up so you can put your design on one side. Now, since mine has a certain direction it has to go, I wanted to show you what I did next. I opened up a blank page of just white. And what I want to do is take my paper or my styrofoam plate and I want to cut it out so I have something to grip. And there'll be extra parts, but this is about the size of my four fingers. So that's about the size that it should be, or bigger, or not too much smaller. Now, what I need to do is take the side that I had the marker and flip it over. Because this is where I'm going to take a pencil or a pen and I'm going to make those indentions in the styrofoam because I want to make a printmaking marker. So I can take my logo and use paint to paint over it. So, first step is I'm going to take that circle and I'm going to move all the way around it. It's okay if it's not perfect. It just needs to be readable. Now that I have that on there, I'm going to go as closely as I can to fit that logo in there. You'll see as it comes through. Okay, I got one of them on there. I'm going to go to the other one. I can see this working with any type of logo that you'd like to make on there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be noticeable. So make something that you really care about. Okay. I think I have all my motions on there. Now I don't need my Chromebook anymore after this, so I'll just close that. The next step I need to do on this is I need to grab my one piece of paper, just like you have. Remember, this is the side with the marker on it, but this is the side that I drew in there with the pen. And I wanted to show you that I'm going to use it 3 different ways, and I think that's going to be useful for all of you, that you have a variety of paints. First things first, I'm going to use the blue. Took a paintbrush, take the blue, and I want to take those colors and I want to make sure that I get the color inside where I made most of the designs. Okay. So the next thing on there is I take that sign that has all the paint on it, and I'm going to take my logo and I'm going to set it down. Now here is the trick that I want you to pay attention to. You can take your finger, you can take a marker, and I want you to roll that area. Sometimes using a roll of tape or your finger to go over that to paint it down, and then you pull it up. Now what I've noticed is that I can barely see that, and I'll zoom in for you. There's too much paint on there. So let's see what it looks like a second time. I'm going to stick it down there. I'm going to stick it in just a different place. And this is the time for okay mistakes, but improvement on there. Now, if you look really close on mine, my logo's coming out. So I'm going to try that again. I'm going to first take my pen over, and I want to see if I can fill in some of those areas that did not show up. Okay. That's going to be right out here. Now be careful not to go all the way through. That's going to be a hard thing to do. Okay, so let's stick with blue a little bit. I'm going to go over to where I had just a little bit of blue in there. I want to rub it into the areas that are open. As you can see that, I'm holding it so the light will show you where I'm putting the paint. Okay. You don't want to use too much paint, but you also don't want to use too little. And what we have here is a good example of too much and too little. So let's see if we can find a happy medium where you can see your logo come through. And what I'm going to do is come up here to the third area, and I'm going to use just my fingers. I'm going to rub it around on the styrofoam. And I'm going to pull it up. And I like that one too. That looks a little bit better. Now that I've got those three on there, I want to mix it up. So what I'm going to do is take my paintbrush, and with just a little bit of water, I go into the sink, and I don't have the sink camera set up, but I go over to the sink and I wash it out. And the goal is to get rid of the blue. Rub it out so it doesn't contaminate the rest of the colors on here. So I want to rub it out in the sink or on a paper towel until that blue disappears. Okay, and as you can see, it started out a lot, but because I've rubbed it out so far, the brush is now clean. Still, there's blue in there. The next part, I still have blue paint on here, and I'm going to take it over to my paper towel, and I'm just going to turn it over to the other side. I'm going to see if I can get rid of some of that paint. And it did. It made a design on there. The next one, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to leave my blue on there. It dries off a little bit, just after a little bit. And I'm going to move on to red. So now, if blue is not dry, you know colors are going to change. So I want you to notice that it might come out purple. And that's what we're really doing, is making an experiment to see what would happen. And I'm okay with those experiments because I want to see you make mistakes and keep trying at it. And that's great for this project because you're going to make mistakes. We're not going to throw them away. We're going to give it some tries. Now you noticed I covered everything on my logo. So I'm going to set my pen away, and I'm going to come over here just below there, and I'm going to try again. Rub my fingers all over there. Lift it up. Oops. That's a lot of paint on there. Let's try again. I'm going to go on top of my... I'm going to go over to the side. See if I can rub that one more time. Ooh, I really like this one. I'm going to zoom in. You see how those came out? That is a great one. That was see how it had too much? Still, it came through, but then there's a little bit on there. So I hope this video is helping you see how I did that. I like the red. I'm going to go one more time, but I'm going to match it with my really light one right on top. And I'm going to do a little mixing on there. I press that on. Remember, you don't need to... Ooh, that even looks good too. Put it on top and it kind of finishes out. We still have one more color, and of course I want to see you do 3 colors. So I take that pen or that brush and I take it into the sink and I make sure I get as much red as I can to get off. Then I go over to a paper towel, and it can be the same paper towel you've already been using. I hope you are using the same one. You can always fold it. See how it takes a lot of that red out? Next, I move on to the yellow. And I add just a little bit of yellow on there. I come back over. All right, I've got a lot of yellow on there. And this time I want to see if I can move that yellow around so there's nothing pooling up. As you can see, I'm going to pull that over and move that color out of the way. And let's see if I can make another print, like the paintbrush down. Lift this back up. And I'm going to try to put it right there. Probably a lot, but let's see what happens. Yeah, that was a lot. But look closely. All that still came through. And that's a good sign. Now, because that was just like that, I'm going to see if I can do this again. I'm going to see if I can do a medium-sized one. See if I can roll that out. And that one looks pretty good. I bet if I put something else over it. This is all about experimenting. So now that I've got the blue and the red one, I like that right there. Now, this will be, oh, perfect. I think this is a good example of my best one. The one I tried out the most. I've got my too much. I've got my too much. I've got my, okay. But I want to keep trying to make one as perfect the way you want to make it that has a variety of colors. And so what I'm going to do with my paper is I'm going to keep working at this. I'm going to bring it to school and I'm going to show you what I have. The goal for your paper is to definitely have a lot of prints on there. If you cut out more than one print, that's okay. If you use multiple designs, that's okay. But I want to make sure that you're not making something too small that it's hard to see. On my examples, you can use a sharp tool. What I used for my sharp tool was my pen. You can use a pencil. Just try not to break through. Styrofoam is very fragile. Step 4, you want to brush and over the foam. I used a brush just like this, and using the sink water. I don't have to use much water. I rubbed it in the bottom, and again, the paint will come off. You don't need that much of it, but it's okay to practice and try. I'm going to keep trying at mine to keep making that one look really good, but I still have some space to fill. So on to that step number 4. Here's some good examples on the screen before touching your work. The experiment on how much to add for your foam. Too much paint on the left and then not enough paint on the right. Get some scraps of paper and practice until you find the right amount. And that's okay to practice on some scraps of paper. Just make sure that you're being super respectful with what you're doing with them to clean up. Step 5, carefully place the foam on your paper and press down. and then transfer it over. So step 6, carefully remove all the foam and wash off the paint, and repeat as many colors, or about 3 is what I'm asking you to do. And then your final product will look like that. So come look at mine at school. I'll have it up on display, and we'll see what we can do to get you creating yours this week. Thank you.